All right. Hey, good afternoon to our friends in the jewelry business. This is Joe Radis from One Step Technologies. I have Denise Pertzer from ClearSale and some of our colleagues from our organization on the call today. This call is being recorded and it'll be used as well for future reference and broadcasting on social media for additional jewelers to pick up tips from the One Step and ClearSale product offering. We're going to be focusing today on e-commerce, and for jewelers, this is somewhat new territory. For jewelers, although this is not necessarily new to territory, and what I mean by that is you're a consumer, you bought online probably countless times now, you know how the experience is, you find an item, you put it into a shopping cart. Eventually, when you're done navigating the website, whether it's one item, it's 10 items, you go for the checkout, and that's where then it asks you for information like, where do you want this shipped to? Where do you want, what's the billing information? And then eventually you're taken to another page, which you don't realize it's not necessarily part of the online marketer. It's the payment gateway where all the sensitive aspect of your payment information is taken, i.e. card information. All right, and that's never transmitted to an online retailer. So in your case, you would never, if you enable online e-commerce, you never touch the card data. It's completely housed within the payment gateway. Sure, I'm hosting this call, so I'm going to make a plug for One Step Gateway, but there are other payment gateways out there that do similar aspects from a shopping cart integration. The online marketplace is something that as a jeweler, you got to seriously consider, because I know the challenges you have in your retail store. Number one, you're limited to the square footage of your store. You're limited to how many SKUs you can punt. Your showcase is only accommodate maybe a couple hundred pieces, and you have to go through a little exercise every morning and evening, right? You got to punt it out, and you got to take it back into the vault because of insurance requirements. So you don't have to deal with any of that on the online 65 days a year. So you're not confined to normal jewelry store operations, whether it's Tuesday through Saturday, maybe it's Monday through Saturday, whatever it is, your online marketplace is made available. And it's limitless. So if you want to carry the same amount of items as you have in the store, let's say it's 200 SKUs, and you want to mimic that store to be online, great. If you say that this is really doing the job for me, I want to offer the entire Martin Flower lineup, Hearts on Fire, whatever lines you like to endorse. You could put every single item that those manufacturers provide out there on your marketplace. All right, so you could have literally thousands of jewelry pieces marketing online. The other benefit that the online marketplace gives you, other than the fact that it's virtual, you don't have to constantly deal with vaulting in the evening, right, is your market is not constrained to your zip code, county, state, area code. You can make your store nationwide, and you can be selling to customers all across the United States, including obviously Hawaii and Alaska. Don't discount them. You can also be selling to customers across the border in Canada. It depends on where you want to go with it. Okay. Now, online. Sometimes I get questions asked by jewelers, especially at the various trade shows. We've got the Atlanta one coming up this weekend, and that is security of a transaction. And then I like to say this: the security of the transaction is one that is actually procedurally a little bit different step than what you do in the store. I always like to say that my experience in the store is when I go in and I put my card in the terminal, I'm very rarely asked for my ID. And I don't care what the retailer is. Very rarely asked here in the States. When I travel overseas, hasn't been much in the last year, none of us have, but normal years, I'm often asked all the time, whether it's Europe, Asia, every single time I'm buying something, I need to see your identification. So actually online gives you the benefit of that we do with One Step Gateway, we enable Azure verification and CVV. CVV means card verification value. That is the last 3 digits of the 4 digits of a card number. And you see it on the back or the front for Amex. And Azure verification is the zip code and the street address number that's associated with the billing address of that card. So if I borrow your card, or I took it out of your wallet, or I found a misplaced card, okay, I'm not going to know that information. Even if I know that, okay, that's your store, you dropped your card, and just let's say I've surmised that your store is in my town, Peachtree City, so the zip code is 30269, but you live in Atlanta, it's a different zip code. It's going to come back invalid. So we can enable the gateway to knock out invalid data and reject the transaction. Now, this is all done literally within a second or two. And again, if you're, your consumer experiences, you've gone, you put in all that information, and within a second or two, it says, hey, Joe Reyes, congratulations, thank you, transaction has been approved. You get that notification that your transaction has been completed. Now you're just waiting for them to ship it, and you'll eventually get a notification on when it's being transited to you, okay? But I have jewelers, so that handles the checkout process. I have jewelers that ask questions about, well, if I'm going to sell online and I don't know the customer and they've never been in my store and I'm based in Ohio and the customer's in California, how do I have that piece of assurance that I'm going to send that $5,000 necklace and it's not come back to haunt me in a chargeback dispute? And they're not going to allege fraudulent transaction. What peace of mind can I get beyond your gateway doing what it's supposed to do? Okay. I.e., I have the same level of comfort as if someone came into my store. I didn't know who they were. They bought a $5,000 necklace. And I, not my clerk, I asked for the driver's license and I matched it up. Okay. How do I have that same level of comfort? But obviously, the online gives me the ability to sell as many SKUs as I want and not have to deal with the constant moving in and out of into the vault every night, etc. That's where our partnership with ClearSale comes in. And I am pleased to introduce Denise Pertzer because she can talk about the ClearSale offering. It is a wonderful experience for the jewelers. It gives you the peace of mind on the transaction. The consumer doesn't know any of this analytics is being done. It's behind the scenes. It takes longer for us to explain it in this call than it actually happens at the consumer experience. So Denise, I know you're on. I don't see you, but
I'm here, Joe.
That's Denise. Hey, good afternoon. Now at this point, we did this call 3 hours ago.
We did.
And we had to have coffee. Now we don't. So
that's right. We've got our caffeine and we're ready to go. Good afternoon to you too. Thanks for having us on, and we appreciate our partnership with you, Joe, and One Step. But excited to talk to the merchants today and hear your questions at the end if you've got them. I know fraud is something that's top of mind. When we went to Atlanta Jewelry Show last time and now coming up this weekend, one of the things I kept hearing is, I'm worried about launching online because I'm worried about the fraud aspect. And we'd like to take care of that for you and help alleviate those fears and share a little bit about why we can do that. So backing up a little bit, when you're doing the purchases at point of sale, you're not necessarily seeing the chargebacks come in, and that's a good thing. That is one of the benefits of having a chip and a card reader and everything else. It does alleviate some of those issues. So you do have an opportunity to, unfortunately, come across some chargebacks. The other piece that I want you to consider is that you don't want to have false declines either. And a false decline occurs when an order is actually coming in from a good customer, but for whatever reason, it looks risky. They might be ordering from one address and shipping to another. They might be ordering a very large order that you've never seen from them before because they're a brand new customer. All sorts of things can happen that can set off fraud flags. And not always are merchants equipped to figure that out on their own and determine whether it's a good order and we're declining a good customer, which is a false decline, or whether it's something that's going to result in a chargeback. So really what we want to do at ClearSale is help take that pain point away and take on that responsibility. ClearSale has been around for 20 years now, and we work globally. We work also across all different verticals, but jewelry has a special place in our heart because jewelers have very unique issues with higher priced items that are easy to ship and easy to resell. It makes you guys a target, unfortunately, for fraudsters. So given that, we want to do what we can to help you with that whole piece. So we talked a little bit about chargebacks and false declines, and I think we all know the pain points of the chargeback. So if you've ever sold online, or even if you've gotten a chargeback at point of sale, you know the pain of that. It's, a fee of $30 to $100. You lose out on the product itself, the cost of the product, the transaction fees, all those sorts of things. And if you get too many chargebacks, you could start to realize higher transaction fees across the board. You might even lose your merchant account if it gets over that 1% mark. So there is something at stake with chargebacks. So most merchants come to us and say, well, if it looks risky, I'm just going to decline it because that's the cost of doing business. But that's exactly what you don't want to do, because when you're talking about marketing to customers and trying to gain their trust, just like you do when you're working with them face to face, it takes a while to build that relationship, but there is a fruitful relationship moving forward because you've got that lifetime value of them coming back into your store or coming back online with you and purchasing time and time again. And those are the things you have to consider when you're considering declining somebody that could result in a false decline. Reason being is when we take a look at the stats across the board, false declines, average orders decline for a merchant online that's selling less than $25 million a year. And this is from the Merchant Resource Council. They do a global fraud study every single year. But about 4.5% of those are declined. And of those declines, 30 to 65% are actually good orders. So when you take into account that whole piece and you look at what a false decline costs you, it's much greater, as I said, than the chargeback. For instance, you're spending that money marketing, trying to get those merchants to come on board, or those shoppers to come on board with you as a merchant, and get their lifetime value. You're shipping products, you're paying people to work with that customer and get that order fulfilled, and then the order itself is lost when you decline an order. So again, that cost is about 12 times as many orders that you're going to have to fulfill to make up for a false decline versus a chargeback. And when we take a look at the stats as well, every year LexisNexis does a study of the cost of fraud. And for every dollar of fraud that's out there, it's $3.36 of total value when you factor in chargebacks and everything else. So both of those numbers tell us that you have to have a balance between chargebacks and false declines and making sure that you're not out of line with either of those. One of the things that we do to make sure that we're not declining falsely or creating chargebacks for you is we have an algorithm that would make a decision and can approve most of the orders that come through. And as Joe mentioned, it's instantaneously, right? So that order is entered into the cart. We look at a bunch of different factors within that order instantaneously with our algorithm and make a decision that we can approve it. What is very different about what we do is that we don't rely on the machine only to make a decision if it's suspect in any way. So if an order goes through, say we've got that example where they've got, an order that they're placing on a credit card with a bill to address in one place, they're shipping it to somebody else, and it's an address mismatch, and it's a new customer, and there are some other things. Maybe they entered the CVV number wrong. All of these things can factor in. Our analysts, of which we have a team of over 1,200 of them, can actually take a look at what's going on behind the scenes. They can use additional tools, not even interfering with the customer in any way. The customer thinks an order went through, we're reviewing it on the back end, and then we can come back to you and say, yep, we can approve that order. If we approve an order, whether it's $100 or $10,000 or $20,000, we would guarantee that against chargeback. So if a chargeback should occur, we actually go ahead and compensate you in full for that order. You just give us the details that you shipped it and the chargeback information, and you have a guarantee on that. So it's a win-win for you as a merchant because we're trying to get through as many orders as possible so that we don't have the false declines, with that second look of people intervening and making sure that we are looking at all potential scenarios so we can approve, and then giving you a chargeback guarantee at the end of the day. So it's upping your bottom line on both alleviating the false chargebacks or the false declines and making sure that you don't have chargebacks. Those are accounted for as well. So it allows the merchants to go ahead and launch their online efforts, whether it's more fully adding higher priced products, whatever the case might be, or launching for the first time. And that's what we love to do is help jewelers feel assured that they're okay going online.
Denise, I appreciate that overview. I think the ClearSale solution is a phenomenal solution for peace of mind to give the jewelers that added protection when it comes time to do an online sale. You're selling a $500 piece, or you're selling a $5,000 piece, or even $50,000 piece. Put the zero behind it. In the event of a dispute, and you allow ClearSale to validate it. And again, we're not talking about an immense amount of time here. Right now, we're talking at 12:47 in the afternoon Eastern. You're not going to receive the order at 12:47. You're not going to ship it at 12:52 to the jewelers on this call today. You're going to ship it later on the day or tomorrow. It's not, as long as you ship it within 2 to 3 days, that's all the payment brands ask for. They consider that immediate fulfillment. So within 2 to 3 business days, you ship the piece of jewelry, and certainly you're going to get the analytics from one step. You're going to get the ClearSale analytics, very timely. The consumer won't know a difference, and if ClearSale say it's good, you're covered. And
the great thing is, the merchant doesn't have to make any decision. They don't have to call out to the customer. They don't have to do any of that legwork. They get a simple go ahead and approve. It's approved, go ahead and fulfill, or it's declined, do not, and just go ahead and X out the order. So it's pretty straightforward. It makes your life so much easier, because we know that the jewelers are so busy trying to do so many things within their store, outside of their store, online, and everything else. You wear so many different hats. This is one less piece that you have to worry about then.
I agree. So I think selling online is a tremendous platform that jewelers need to consider. You have competitors in the marketplace that are promoting jewelry. And again, go back to the earlier part of the conversation. You're not limited to the SKUs in your store. You can sell as many pieces as you want. I'm not saying go big if this is new to you. Build up, get yourself acclimated. But obviously, between the fraud prevention steps that one step offers, combined with our partner ClearSale, it gives you the peace of mind that you can sell online securely and safe. Okay, and something you need to consider. And we certainly welcome the opportunity to talk to jewelers further. Obviously, Atlanta's coming up this weekend. So if you're in the Southeast and you plan to come to Atlanta, I know Denise is going to be at ClearSale, at the ClearSale booth. One step, if you're saying, hey, Joe, I don't know how to build out my website to be a full e-com. We've got some technology partners we work with. One is Star Gems. They'll also be at the Atlanta show. They can turnkey and get your website up and running literally within a week or two. And I'm not exaggerating. In addition to that, they have we're integrated to them. So for payments, just the whole consumer experience is like what you feel when you buy something online from any of the major retailers. That's turnkey, can be made available for your store. So you don't have to be Amazon to think that you got the best technology out there. Anything else you want to add?
You mentioned Star Gems, and we're talking to them about doing an integration. So hopefully we'll have that done soon. There shouldn't be any heavy lifting on your part either. So we've integrated into all the major e-commerce platforms, as well as the jewelry specific platforms like the Punchmark and the ThinkSpace and Gems One, if you're adding additional inventory to your site through them. We've already got that integration done, so it's literally a plug and play where you just turn it on, which makes it super easy. We also protect some of the biggest brands out there, so Cartier and Prada and Chanel, some of the luxury brands, as well as Timex and Super Jeweler, Ray-Ban. We are working with all of these types of clients already. And then we work with, startups that are just getting going online, and they might have had their storefront for 100 years, which I hear, third generation storefront. We hear that all the time, but just getting going with e-commerce, we can work with you too. We don't have any minimums or anything like that. And the great thing is you get the same technology as we would give to Prada or any of these others. So we love to take care of jewelers, and we know that it's super important with that high priced product to give that protection to you in place before you get things fully launched, because once you've got a chargeback, it's too late. We talked to, I just saw something come in today. I just got my first chargeback. I need to get something in place for chargeback protection. If one's coming, there might be more coming, because fraudsters talk to each other, unfortunately. And if they find an easy path to steal, they'll share with their friends as well. And you could be hit with, dozens of orders that are charged back, or even hundreds of orders before you even know it. And I hate to see people get into that situation. I've talked that story many, many times in the past, and it's something that you want to have in place before you launch. Or if you don't now, let's get you started. Whether it's with us or any sort of fraud prevention, we can give pointers on what types of things you need to take into consideration when you're protecting your site.
Good tips. I don't know if we got, I know we're over 20 minutes into the call, and let's see if there's any questions out there. And if not, we've recorded this call, so this becomes something that we can post online. And if your jeweler is watching it for the first time, hopefully you'll obtain the same bit of information and follow up with us for any additional questions with regards to either ClearSale or One Step Technologies. Is there any questions out there? And if there is, unmute your line and ask it.
While we're waiting for those to come through, there was an interesting thing that I read the other day that was specific to fraud and jewelry. And it was talking about how gold chains have been targeted during the pandemic, because people are trying to, get money in whatever way possible. The price of gold went up. And so, if you saw somebody come onto your site and pick the thickest gold chain possible, or multiple gold chains, those are red flags. So yes. I thought that was interesting.
That's actually a great point, because that's the biggest thing I always talk about. What are the products that could be monetized on the black market? Okay. And whether you're talking about buying gold and simply melting down to try to sell it, or it's appliances, some electronics, believe it or not, high-end women's fashion is something that can be monetized and sold on the secondary market, including handbags. But between the solutions we have here, that's something that there's a lot of filtering going on that prohibits that type. Or again, a jeweler, you might say, hey, I got someone, I just sold 4 gold chain necklaces, it was a $6,000 sale. You might want to get the analytics from ClearSale. This is a suspicious transaction, and either you're saying no, we're not going to cover you for the assurance program, and then you have to take that calculated risk. But hopefully with everything that we're providing, we provide our clients the ability to navigate and prevent that from happening. Again, tips of the call, and hopefully if you got any questions, by all means, please reach out to Denise. Denise, do you want to just share your email real quick on this video?
Absolutely. I'll share the easiest one. My name is Denise Pertzer, so I could be found on LinkedIn under PURTZER. But the easier way, and instead of trying to spell that, is just email us at partners, plural, @clear.sale. We have a ton of educational information on our ClearSale site as well, clear.sale. There's a resources section. So if you want to learn anything about e-commerce, we always partner with great partners like Joe and One Step to solve all the problems of e-commerce out there. So whether you're talking about marketing issues or CRM or anything, we've got a partner that we work with generally in every single niche, as well as agencies that help do marketing and all those sorts of things. So we often have them write articles. And we also have a podcast that's called the Gateway to E-commerce podcast. It's not specific to jewelry, but it's open to all things e-commerce. So some additional resources for you as well.
Great. And if you want to reach out to us at One Step Technologies, info@onesteptech.com. It's numeral 1, not one spelled out. So info@1 STEPTECH.com. And our URL is www.onesteptechnologies.com, or you can go to One Step Tech. We own both URLs. It goes to one. And we have a full range of information, including ClearSale. So if there's any interest, we welcome it. We look forward to hearing about your feedback. Thank you for your time on the call today. Denise, thanks for co-hosting this call with me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe. Take
All right,
care.
I'll see you Friday.
Happy
Okay.
selling, everybody.
Yeah, all right. Same. Take care. Thank you.